All right, so we made a video, Vas, about dive computers, whether to go with analog SPGs
Yes.
or transmitters. And can you do away with the submersible pressure gauge and just use transmitters? And we had got quite a few comments on that video.
Yes,
And
I remember
people
that.
saying they've been diving with transmitters now for a while, various different models, manufacturers. And what I was getting from that was the general reliability from those units was getting a lot better. And you just don't hear about the failures we heard back in 2013. You know,
Yes.
when I read about what Tom experienced with it actually exploding. Yeah. Now, I've recently got myself a Shearwater, it's the Perdex AI, and I got a couple of transmitters with that. I noticed there were different colors. There was one gray, one yellow. And what I was doing is trying to use them with side mount now.
Yes.
So I did away complete with the pressure gauges, and I made a series of about 3 or 4 dives over a few days, and we were just seeing how well they worked. Now, first of all, the pairing was easy,
Okay.
kind of worked good. You had to put some numbers in, so that was nice to see. I figured that straight away the pressures came on, and they were very accurate.
Yes.
When I walked away, I noticed that the distance, one would go, then the other would go. And as soon as I walked back, within a few seconds,
What kind of distance do you think?
I would say like maybe a couple of diver lengths away,
Okay.
2 or 3 diver lengths, it would kind of just disappear. There'd be no comms or something like this.
Sure.
Get a bit nearer again, certainly within the range that we're using them for side mount,
Yes.
and it was working perfectly for this. I would turn the cylinder off. It would still stay on actually. Purge down the regulator, and within 5 seconds or so,
Fine.
it would actually drop off then.
So pressure activated.
Yeah, crack the pressure back on again, and then again 5 seconds or so back on. And you know, to be honest, given I was doing a lot of film work this week, I was always constantly with the camera, watching things. All I was concentrating on was obviously buoyancy control, keeping myself in trim. But it was kind of nice to have all the information
In the one place to look
in the
without
one
having
place.
to contort yourself too much.
Yeah, and I was switching exactly 20 bar differential, you know, just to see how nice that would feel for the whole dive. Yeah, I figured it worked pretty well. So I think we're going to see a lot more with transmitters. Given the limited testing I've done so far on it, I certainly had no trouble with it. It'd be interesting to see how the battery life goes.
Yes.
I do believe, though, that something needs to happen in terms of if you're going to use it for technical diving, it needs to be able to adopt for a 3rd or 4th cylinder. What would also be nice to see is that your sack rates are accurately showing for each cylinder as you switch to it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, one question I had is, you know, when you're diving, did you ever get a feeling that it hadn't registered for a while, that it was maybe a little stuck at a point and it either wasn't working or you'd lost comms during the dive?
Yeah, to be honest, every time I looked at it, I had no comms.
Okay.
It was constantly on.
Yep.
Yeah. I even tried purging the regulators a little bit, and again, it just showed a pressure drop. It seemed to update every 5 seconds or so.
Fine.
You know, which I think is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, probably for the dive rate, sampling rate anyway. Okay.
Yeah. But it was certainly very accurate.
And no variations at depth, nothing different when you were in the deeper part, nothing different in the shallower part.
Apart from my air going faster,
Yeah.
no. It was very good. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you mentioned the battery life, now I know on the Perdix you get a little battery monitor.
Yeah.
Do you get any battery monitor for the transmitters?
I hadn't noticed that. I only skimmed through the manual as well, and from what I understood, you're generally changing your computer battery, I think 3 times or 2 before you change your batteries in your transmitters.
Okay, fine. And in terms of the depth rating, I think the Perdix, it's I forget the exact number, it's 100 meters plus, I think. I mean, I guess the rating for the SPG and for the transmitter, that must match the computer, right?
I'm guessing, yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure.
Sure. Okay.
I know they're getting popular with CCR divers using it. They're using one generally for their O2 and one for the diluent.
I mean, now that you've seen the screen, though, I mean, the screen's obviously at a certain size. there's now more to show on the screen, right?
Sure.
I mean, does that impact when you're looking at things like depth, time, PPO2, next stop? I mean, what was your feeling on that?
Yeah, to be honest, I think there's a lot of information on the screen that it is useful should you want to find it, but it could definitely do with being hidden in some modes. So for me, if I could have the critical things I want showing, so the cylinder I'm breathing from was highlighted, that would be nice. Then you could even have prompts for when to switch if you wanted to set them right. That would be kind of cool feature, wouldn't it? But I'm sure we'll see that at some date from somebody. But yeah, for me, the sack rate would be really interesting because as a good technical diver anyway, you should be aware if you're breathing quicker. But if you knew your constant sack rates, you could even maybe set variable alarms.
Yes.
It's just alert you like, hey, you're breathing that bit too quick.
A bit like an ascent rate alarm, just to see it's out of range. Okay. But what do you think if we make a gas switch, let's say to a third cylinder?
Yeah.
Do we need to see the side mount tanks on that same screen, or have them drop away, or maybe be on a next page or something?
This would be great, yeah. So that would be good, because if you got so many, you might get confused then as well.
Yeah, this
and
is what I'm
especially if
thinking.
you're putting more and more data on the screen,
Yes.
you're only going to see so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So reliable, but
Yeah.
potentially some software-related things. It sounds to me like just really the screen configuration, battery monitor, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Cool. When do I get mine?
Soon.
Okay. I lost an SPG the other day, and so I'm looking to get a replacement.
Right.
You gonna hook me up?
Well, I think the guy that was technically responsible for you losing that SPG,
Okay.
he should be the one
He's got mine.
to donate it.
All right.
Yeah, to get you a new one.
All right. Well, just give me his number.